Hey, we're live in the studio. Welcome to 2023. We're live in the studio for another episode of Above Average Black Men with yours truly, Chris Pender Sr. and
Devin Pender here to remind y'all to like, follow, subscribe, share, comment, interact with us. We're on Podbeam, we're on Instagram Live, YouTube Live, Facebook Live. Let us know what you guys are thinking. And also, I'm going to do Chris' part, inspire the community, uplift, all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. And we're also on, you can check us out on Spotify.
Spotify, yes.
And on iHeartRadio.
I didn't know iHeartRadio.
Yeah, I heard. That's the one I kept forgetting.
Okay,
iHeartRadio, man.
That's a big one.
So, and I'm working on Apple now since I had to get an Apple phone.
We're going to get there. 2003 steps. Goals.
But, it's exciting time, man. So today what we're going to talk about is New Year's resolutions. And I add a little suffix behind, like, do you have what it takes? People, every year people make, millions of people, they make New Year's resolutions. And I'm not against it. So let me start by clarifying it. But also I'm curious why people make them and how they make them. What I mean by how is some people make them off of emotion. Something bad happens. I'm never going to do that again. I'm never going to, I'll make a New Year's resolution. I'm never going to date this kind of person again, or I want to lose weight.
So, yeah, that's my favorite one. Being that I was at the gym yesterday, you see all the people who are like, it's crowded, every treadmill is full, every bench is full.
Well, it's interesting because it is, but what you don't know is this is what maybe you don't know, but gyms make more money this time of year than any other time of year because people sign up for lifetime memberships and they go for January, maybe into February, some make it into March, but over 60% of them quit.
That could never be me.
And I want to talk about that because I think first, I guess I got to check with you before I say anything, man. Did you make any New Year's resolutions, man?
Of course I did. I had a bunch of them, but I'm going to stick to them. Like, I really am focused on that this year because I usually don't make any resolutions. Well, I joke around about it, but I'm never really serious. But I feel like this year is one of the times like I'm very serious about it. Like, one of them was, I wanted to get more disciplined and, dedicated. For example, like one thing I started doing, actually a little late last month, but I'm starting to really continue to do it every day into 2023 is, reading a Bible verse before I go to sleep. I have the Holy Bible app. I know you feel proud of that. I have a Holy Bible app where, every night around 7, 8 o'clock before, I'm ready to go to sleep, I kind of just open it up and read it and just kind of try to digest it. That's one thing that I've continued to do for the past couple weeks. I'm always in the gym, so that's easy for me. But as far as the dedication and as far as the dedication and discipline, that's something that I really, really am trying to stay focused and hone on.
Well, the Bible app actually should give you 2 verses a day, man. One in the morning, one in the afternoon.
We're working our way up there.
That's just me. But no, I think and see, I don't do resolutions. I set goals. And I set my goals, I line my goals up to my vision. And the reason why I do it because I've used to set resolutions and they're hard to keep, especially when they're not attached to anything. Like, for instance, most times 9 out of 10 people, they set resolutions and they don't have the key ingredients to make it happen. Like, okay, I want to lose weight. What's your plan? It has to be more than I want to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym every day. Do you look at your schedule? Do you see if it's feasible for you to go every day? Your health. Maybe you can't jump in and go every day. Are you disciplined enough to go every day? So they get discouraged because they go 2 days and now I'm done because I didn't have a plan. Are you going to be persistent? And what I mean by that is you need to be persistent when you get tired. Because I don't care what your resolution is. If it's to read the Bible, there are going to be mornings when you read the Bible, man, it's going to seem like you get nothing because you're tired, you're distracted. But can you keep going? You got to be persistent, and most people not. People say, I'm gonna swear off chocolate. And some people make it, but you can't swear off chocolate and just keep going to the supermarket, walking down the chocolate aisle. I'm going to have just one piece. So when you do resolutions, what's your plan? Are you persistent? And what's the purpose? What's the goal? What is the benefit of you setting this resolution? What does it mean?
Well, since you say you don't, use the word resolutions, can you tell us some of your goals for 2023? If you're able to share a lot of them.
Yeah, I do. Like one, I want to have a deeper relationship with Christ. So I do before I just do a morning devotion when I could squeeze at night. I did. Mm-hmm. Now I make sure I do both. I have my morning devotion, and you know my routine. I'm up in the morning to crack of dawn. I get up. I get up in the morning, man. I come down here. I get the tea kettle on. I go upstairs, shower, get my clothes together. I come back down. I make breakfast for your mom and I. I give her breakfast in her office. I work out for 30 minutes and I do my devotion. That's my everyday thing. And while I don't look at the news, I don't do the Facebook thing. I got gospel music playing, or I have some kind of something inspiration playing in the background, and then I post. I have two groups of guys that I send a morning devotional to. So I do that. I send out to them, and I post a prayer on Facebook. That's my new thing for 2023. And yesterday, actually, I started posting short videos. And we don't get into that. Yeah, is my theme. If you know me, I have a theme every year. So one of my other goals was my theme is defining moments. And I'll get more into that, but that was another goal, to be more consistent with that, to be more consistent with sharing that message. So I started yesterday. I did one today. My goal is to do one every day of the week, except Saturday and Sunday. 2 to 5 minute inspiration video. So and keep it going. Another one of my goals is to be focused. To be more focused. Somebody said, "You got to be kidding me! How can you be more focused?" But I don't mean just. What I mean by more focus is now it's time for me to bring stuff in. Mm-hmm. I'm doing a lot of stuff and I'm not complaining. God has blessed me and he continues to bless me. But, I need to be more focused and kind of streamline what I'm doing, and how can I maximize those opportunities? Like, for instance, if I'm doing 5 things to get $25,000, how can I do one thing to get $25,000? That's what I need to focus on. How can I do 2 things to get $25,000? I need to focus on that, which means I got to say no to some stuff, and take on different types of things. So I got to have a focus. Part of the focus is we were just vacation, and to me, that to be able to go on vacation, say, look, hey, I got it. That was amazing to me.
I'm about to say, side note, that vacation was awesome. I actually want to thank you, since we're here face to face right now. Mm-hmm. Like, it's been a while since I've been to Disney on a family vacation like that, and I thought that was just so cool to be able to spend those 3 or 4 days together, just having fun and relaxing, not stressing at all.
And that's checking stuff off my bucket list because, since you were kids, we always talked about, there was a time we used to go every other year. Mm-hmm. We kind of got big, but I always talked about going back during holiday season. And so one of my goals was to start a tradition with my grandson, your nephew, Mackenzie. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the goals. That was the start of our tradition is we're going to do the Disney thing. Right? Every other year, I haven't decided what, but that's something we're going to do. And we will take a vacation like we did this year together. Another one of my goals is which is tied into my vision is I got a dollar amount I want to earn this year. I've been blessed to hit my target every year. So I have a dollar amount. So that's but also within that dollar amount, it takes work. So that's another one of my goals is I want to get a step closer to retiring. I'm 61, man. I'm getting old. So I'm at the place where I'm thinking like, man, by 65, I want to have an option. So, that's another thing. But this all goes back to my first goal because I know if I get deeper in my faith, I continue to work on my faith, God's going to continue to provide. That ram in the bush, the thing I need. So I set my stuff up off of things like that. I don't set it on like, man, I want a new car. I don't. I'm not saying that's a bad goal, but I'm saying I set my stuff on how can I improve my whole life.
That's one thing I noticed when I was listening to you talk about those goals is one, like they're very specific. Yeah. And outside of, talking about, raising a set amount of money for the year, none of them were like very kind of like materialistic or anything like that. It seems like you already have steps on what you want to do to achieve these goals. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are missing when they come up with these resolutions. Like they don't have those steps or they don't know what it takes to fulfill those goals. And it sounds like you already know what you got to do. Like your work's already cut out for you.
But even the financial goal, the monetary goal, whatever you want to call it, it's not about me. It's about, every morning I pray with your mom. I pray, may the blessings flow to me and through me. It's about how, because with the money, I'll increase my budget to toy store. So I'll be able to buy more stuff and bless more people around that time. I'll be able to do more Thanksgiving. It was a blessing to be able to say, look, this is going on vacation, and I got it. You know, so it's not just for me. You know, there's people who need stuff, and I can say, hey, and not worry about, you know, not worry about it. You know, I've been blessed to be that. So you don't get to that position unless you have an open hand. I don't mean give to everybody, so don't be hitting me up for cash, but to be a blessing to others. So even that is not about me. You know, and I think sometimes we get so focused on selfish stuff, you know, that we forget, you know, the intent that, you know, we were put here for a reason, man. We were put here to be in fellowship. We were put here, you know, to work together, you know, not being, constant competition about different things. And it's funny because you're not funny how we were just talking about the young man in the NFL. You know, that's how quickly things can turn around, man. You know, and when things do turn around like that, you know, material things can't do anything for you. So your goals, it's okay to have some goals in that, but your goals need to be set around things that's going to edify you and bring something to your entire life. You know, that's what your goals need to be set around.
Yeah, sorry, that was just Roxy running around here. If y'all hear just pause going. But I just wanted to ask you, have you, you know, now I know you said you have your goals and they're all set. Did you ever or do you ever discuss these resolutions with, you know, other members of say like a group or a church? Have you ever, you know, discussed these different resolutions and compare?
Well, I don't typically go into detail, but there's a group of guys and someone may be watching that I work with, and I always tell them the importance of making sure you cast your vision, you know, and every year you should revisit it. So, every year. So whatever I have set up for my vision, you should revisit it every year to tweak it, you know, so you can add something to it or maybe subtract something from it because it no longer aligns with your vision. And that should be the foundation of what you decide to do for the year. Now, other things are going to come. But I do share people. That's what we need to do.
Now, what's the milestone that you usually kind of look back at these goals and like, I'm halfway at this point, or you know, I'm close to this point. Like, are there any milestones? Do you look like 6 months in? Do you take it by quarter? Like 4 months in? Like what is it?
Usually every quarter, every 3 months, I sit down and I do it anyway. I assess where I'm at. You know, where am I at spiritually? You know, it's funny because one of the things I talked about was we talk about defining moments, and that ties into it. I think people don't realize how there are certain decisions we make that are defining moments because those moments impact our lives. You know, short term and long term. When you decide to get married, you know, when you decide to get married, when you decide to have children. You know, when you decide to change careers, you know, all those things, you know, have long-term impact. They're defining moments. And so you should be assessing your life. You should be looking at yourself like, you know, how have I made decisions for the first 3 months of this year? Those decisions I made, you know, is it helping me get closer to my goals or is it taking me farther away? You know, you should do that I do it every 3 months. You know, some people say I'm a little hard on myself, but at the end of the year, I'll sit back like we're on vacation. I got up in the morning, did my devotion. That was one of the things I did. I reflected back on, 2022, I said, this is what I did. You know, what are some decisions I made to help me get closer to my goals? What are some decisions I made to draw me further away from my goal? And sometimes it may be people. It may be, I got to cut this person out of my life. You know, sometimes it may be your mindset. You know, because I think we are our biggest enemy. We are our biggest battle because, you know, either our emotions, we're not controlling our emotions, man, or we chasing the wrong stuff we shouldn't chase, or we don't realize just because it's good to us doesn't mean it's good for us. So I think when you start setting goals or whether you want to call it resolution, those are things you need to take a peek at. You know, how's it going to impact my life? Because this is a defining moment, man. You know, if I go out and buy this $85,000 car, you know, I got to pay for this thing. You know, how does that work out long term? You know, those are the things that we really got to think about, the ingredients that go into our decision or choices, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So it's funny when I was actually coming up with my goals, and I'm starting to do this now, starting to write them down more because I feel like that's more of an important piece of it too. You know.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people just think, I'm just gonna do this, and I feel like if you don't write it down and don't have the list in front of you, it's easy for you to abandon those goals.
And it's funny you should say that. I've always written them down until last year. And the reason why I didn't write them down last year was because I recite them to myself almost every day. but I've always written them down so I could go back and visit them and take a look at them. And it's kind of funny because if you do it long enough, you'll go back and see how some of them were just really selfish.
Yeah.
Some of them just really you just want to satisfy self, man. Self gratification, man. You got goals or whatever that really benefits nobody else. And the way I see things is, and I'm a thorough, I believe in this thoroughly that, God blesses you so you can be a blessing to others. And the more you practice that process, the more he blesses you. I talk about what happened on the way back from Florida. I was telling us the other day, we missed our plane.
Yeah.
We had a flight that was going to take us to Charlotte and then bring us home. We weren't going to get home till like 11:30, and we missed our plane. And, one of the things I had said as part of for this year, which I didn't mention, was that I'm going to be less emotional. I'm going to be more calm. I'm not going to, stuff I can't control, I'm not going to sweat. So, I usually would have been frustrated, and I said, you know what? We'll work it out. So I go up to
I was thinking that at the time. I was like, he's oddly very calm with just like, the flight leaves in 5 minutes, but we still in line at, TSA. I'm like,
what in the past?
I was sweating. I'm like, I've tried to get home.
Well, in the past, I would have been blaming people, but one of the things I realized was it doesn't solve anything. And it doesn't help you stay married 38 years when you put your fingers with each other. And I still wanted to enjoy the time. That was a great time for me to be on vacation with my grown kids who made a choice to come. But getting back to what I'm talking about that was one of my things I wanted to improve upon. And so right away I got tested. But, I said, you know what? I'm going to pray about it. Let God deal with it. So got up there, rushed, told the lady, look, man, we missed our planes. Is something you can do for me? She said, oh, you're the party of 5, which I thought was odd. She knew exactly who we were. She didn't say a party of 6 because originally it was 6 of us.
Yeah.
Chris had changed his flight, but she knew we were the party of 5. Penned her, and she looks it up and everything. She says, yeah, she says, let me see what I can do. And then she did some things. She said, wait a minute, come with me. So, we go down there. Next thing I know, we got a flight that's leaving at 7 o'clock, but it's straight through. So now instead of being home by noon and spending an hour in Charlotte, we got on a plane at 7 o'clock and we were home by 9 o'clock.
And that felt so good.
Yeah, but not even to the fact that we trying to figure out how we're going to get on and the seats and everything. And so I'm a firm believer that God does reward you, but you got to, it takes commitment and it takes sacrifice. And the same thing I like goals and vision because it's more concrete. People break resolutions and sometimes, man, and there's some exceptions, is emotional. It was based on something that bad that happened to him, last year. I make all mine positive. I don't go back. I'm never going to do that again. I don't. This is what I'm going to do to move forward. This is what I'm going to do to improve my life. This is where I'm now. I take time to think about where I come from. And I say this to your mom all the time. I remember, you don't, but I remember being broke. I remember trying to make stuff meet. Now I'm like, hey, I'm at a place now because I keep setting goals for myself so I know it works, that every year for about the last, my accountants had mentioned this to me before, every year since I guess about the last maybe 10 or 15 years, I've increased my earning potential. Every year I've been able to add to it. Every year I've been able to do something different, and that's because you vision and purpose and setting things up and you add to it. Like now, instead of getting upset about things I can't control it, boom, I just let it go. I deal about it. You know what, God, you got it. You know what?
So how do you determine, what goals are for self versus what goals are like, I guess for like the betterment of like, you understand what I'm trying to say?
And for me, because I believe for me, and I can't speak for other people out there. For instance, if I improve myself spiritually, if I get a deeper relationship with Christ, it's going to make me a better dad. It's going to make me a better father. It's going to make me a better, husband. It's going to make me, perform better. It's going to make me trust them more, which means, it's going to, for my jobs, the decisions I make about job or about my business, it is all going to improve because of my pursuit of God. And I say this to you all the time. I don't chase money because I truly believe if you chase God, the money will find you. And if you chase God, the blessings will find you. So I think when you set goals to improve yourself and improve your relationship with God, the rest is trickle down. Like for instance, and the blind beggar, when he asked Jesus, Jesus, I'm paraphrasing, hook me up, man. Jesus says, well, what can I do for you? He says he wanted his sight. He didn't say he wanted to be rich. He didn't say he wanted to be famous. He wanted his sight, because I truly believe he realized, once he got his sight, all the rest of the stuff he can get. I already got faith, because I got faith this guy's going to believe me. So now if I can see to go along with, with the faith I have in him, I can get all those things. And I think that's the point we miss when we set resolutions and goals that's about ourselves. Is a lot of times we struggle because it really doesn't benefit anybody else. You trying to lose weight because you're trying to impress somebody else. And then that person is not impressed anyway, because it's not about the weight. The guy or girl is superficial. So the first thing you say is, man, I put in all this work for nothing. No, if you do it for yourself, it's not for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing it for somebody else, it's the big letdown.
It's funny that I just want to go back to this one point you mentioned, like you said, you always tell me this, like, don't chase the money.
Yeah.
In due time, that stuff those opportunities will find you. And the first couple of times I'm gonna be honest, first couple of times you said it, I was like, that doesn't sound too hot to me, because I really want the money. But this last month and going into the new year, I feel like that's something that I've really been trying to take to heart. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't been chasing like a lot of those, like you said, I haven't been chasing those money opportunities so much, but just having those right opportunities for me. Like you said, God's going to put that right opportunity for me.
And you're young. And I think when you're young, for a lot of people, it's easier to put your stock or your faith in resolutions, because it's something you have control over.
Yeah.
And this is just my opinion, because when you're that age, you want to have control.
Mm-hmm.
You think you can determine everything. We talked about it before, a friend of mine said this to me. We were talking last year, and he said, man, did you ever imagine that you would be 60 when we were running around the square? And I didn't. I never imagined that from 14 to 30. I never thought about turning 60. I just never did.
I'm turning 30 this year. And that's
so I'm just saying I never did. Yeah. And I thought I could control stuff. The minute I realized I couldn't control stuff, I began to relinquish stuff. It strengthened my faith. So the point I'm going with in the story is, as you get older, you begin to realize, and I try to share with you is, chasing money, you get jobs that you don't like. You get jobs that make you miserable. Mm-hmm. Chasing money, you attract the same kind of person. So now you got this person in your life just making you miserable, because you got to keep working and keep giving that person what their expectation is. You got to keep nice stuff because you want to, because you kind of put up this image, and you got to keep chasing more money. You never get enough money. Your problems don't go away because you have money. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the misunderstanding a lot of people have. When I begin to realize that, if I chase God, he's going to put me in a situation where I'm going to earn money. Mm. He's going to put me in a situation where he's going to take care of all my need. I was working for an organization, and my goal was to stay there. I was going to stay at this organization for a couple of years. It didn't work out. Okay, God, what you want me to do? Mm. And like, I got you. Just be patient. So when the time came, I had 2 offers on the table that all I had to do was says yes to either one of them, and I was gone. So I had to make a decision. And one of them was offering me a whole lot more money than the one I actually took. And I said it because had I took the first job with all the money, I'd have made more money, but I wouldn't have been happy. Mm. I'd have been tied down to an office. I would have made my resolution or goal, but I would have been tied down to an office. I wouldn't have time to do the stuff I can do now, like with my grandson. I wouldn't be working directly with kids, kind of,
So it would have sacrificed happiness.
But I would have had money.
Yeah.
The vacation and stuff we took, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Because it was this window I could take my time and stuff. So I walked into a job where, I got almost a month vacation time starting out. Mm. I work with a great group of people, and it also allows me to run my own business, to do the things to keep that going, and it puts me in a position to do the stuff, to be able to say, hey, school is closed this week. I'm going down to Disney this week. I could take you, the grandson, the kids, see those I couldn't do at the other place. So I think when you start chasing money, you sacrifice things. And the funny thing about sacrifice is this way, you got to be careful about your resolutions. You don't know what you miss until you don't have it. You think because my goal is to make more money, I'm making $200,000 a year, so I can sacrifice not seeing my family, and then when you can't do that, all of a sudden you got $200,000, but you're miserable. I got to keep working to make more money because I want to get another car. So you got to make sure, man. To me, my faith is in God. My faith, if I do what I'm supposed to do, lined up with God, and everything I do is centered around Him, understanding that everything I want may not be meant for me to have. But if I continue to improve myself in that manner, everything else improves itself. He'll put me in a position, to make money. He'll have people, because this is the donation. I was able to do more Toy Story this year. I want to do more next year. That's all God. That ain't me. But it's because my pursuit of Him, because I'm working on how I can be better at working with other people. It kind of trickles down versus I'm just going to make all this money. And there's people who do it. So I want to make that abundantly clear. Mm-hmm. And your life may be working for you. So I'm not saying it does. But for me, I want to be happy. I want to be content. Mm-hmm. I want to get up in the morning and not have a headache and not be stressing out. I want to be able to say I can do this and do that and not worry about, man, if I do this, I can't pay this. I'm at a sweet spot in my life right now, man. I enjoy it.
Now, let me ask you this. Why do you think people wait until the new year to make these different goals or resolutions? Because, in reality, you could really make any change or any set of goals or any resolutions at any time.
Tradition, man, it's another thing that's been passed down generation after generation that most people don't even understand. Like, for instance, what is the correlation between the New Year's and making a resolution? So, what? So if your life is lousy, you got to wait till New Year to change it?
Yeah, like you just got to wait the whole year?
There's no direct correlation. And I said this to somebody yesterday in my devotion. We were texting back and forth because that's all great. However, you can say what you want to say, but if you don't have the mindset that you have to change some things in order for those things to be changed, it's a waste of time. I can say I want to lose weight, but if I'm still eating chicken wings and fries and, eating like a cow, I don't care how many times I go to the gym. I got muscles, but I'm going to be fat. So your mindset has to change too. So I think people fall into tradition, think, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And that's what I meant before about having a plan, about being persistent, and about being purposeful about it. People just do it. And the correlation is always New Year's. If I'm miserable in August, why am I going to wait till New Year to change it? When you think about it logically, it doesn't make sense. However, that's the way it's been done forever. For as long as I can remember and people before me can remember, is they make resolutions. Hey, I'm going to wait till the end of the year and I'm going to fix stuff. And most people don't. It sounds good.
Do you think it was like, I guess, do you think more people actually stuck to those resolutions more back then? Or do you think like it's just always been like, oh, we'll do this resolution for a couple of months or set these goals for a couple of months and then eventually fall off?
No, I think it's just, I couldn't measure about, what percentage kept it versus, back when I was growing up or percentage now. I just think it's probably more difficult now, I would say, because of the things that you're exposed to.
So many distractions and different vices.
And stuff is easier now. Yeah. Like, if I said, okay, I'm not going to look at TV, but videos pop up on my phone all the time. You know what I mean? Like I'll be, and it's funny because of what you do. Like we went to Disney, so now I got all this Disney stuff coming up on my phone because you're down there, you spending money, they fingerprint you and all this stuff, So I got videos coming up about, the Disney cruise. You want to go? So it's easier now to have access to stuff. It's more difficult to say no. You got, people says, okay, well, you give up a certain food, but now because the way advertisement is, you see posters all over the place. Is the access to stuff is easier now. So I think it's more difficult now, especially with social media. Mm-hmm. The other thing is I think more people are exposed now because of social media, because people can see. Well, back in the day, it wasn't a big. We laugh and joke about this all the time. If you did something back in the day, it typically stayed in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Now if you do something, they're taping it.
Everyone got a phone to pull out.
Yeah, so I think I think it's one of those things where it's hard to tell, but I think everybody should have a vision statement. Everybody should write a vision statement for themselves, what they want to do, how they see themselves in 5 years. And your goal should be based on whatever you want to call it, should be based off that. But I can tell you this, if working on yourself is not included in that, you're wasting your time, man. Because I believe if you honestly, and it works, I think the formula is if you invest and improve yourself, with the idea that you're going to invest and improve others or help others improve, you're going to get positive results.
Now, my next question is, why do you think it's so easy for people to abandon their goals.
Man, because we live in a time now, man, where people they quit. I mean, marriages don't last long now. I counsel couples.
Mm-hmm.
You sit down with people, and people ready to quit now. Oh man, if it ain't working out, like why would you get into a relationship with I wouldn't go in business with somebody with the idea that if it don't work out, I could just leave. That's a waste of my time. If I'm going to go into business with you, like when we talked about doing this show, are we going to do this show? What are we going to do? I wasn't like, well, if it don't work out, we could. No, because, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be all in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's part of it because we're in the time now when I can't even say generation because people my age, they just quit. So it's easy for me to say, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be better at this. But my slogan for fam.com, it says, the shirt I had on vacation. You gotta, be better to do better. And so a lot of times we'll talk a lot of smack, man, because we wanna do better, but we don't put the work in to be better. It's easy for me to say, yeah, man, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be better. I'm going to go to church every Sunday. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not going to make it every Sunday. Instead of saying, I'm going to try my best to make it to church as much as I can. Because stuff happens. You may be sick. Maybe it snows. All kind of stuff happens. So I think it's just easier to quit because the way people are now. There's people not loyal to each other now. So I think that's part of it right there. And nobody looks at you cross-eyed if you quit. You just quit.
Yeah. Is there ever a time, where you had set a goal for yourself? It was extremely hard. Like you said, like people do want to quit, but like you kept going. Like, what was that goal that is like it almost pushed you to the edge or to the brink?
Oh man, when I decided I was going to start my own nonprofit. Mm-hmm. When I decided that I was going to do, I was going to do public speaking. I was going to do workshops and things of that nature. You're young, you don't mm-hmm. remember, but I started off and I was doing pretty good. I had a couple of clients that were paying me almost $400 an hour, to do stuff in different prison systems, different things, and I thought I was going to take off. Mm-hmm. I thought I was going to have this $1 million company, and I got cancer. Mm-hmm. And that, and the time I took off when I had cancer, all those connects I had went away. All those people, I got you, and they didn't have me. Mm-hmm. So when I came back, I had to start over from scratch, man. And that was hard, and humbling. When I'm at this point where somebody's paying me $400 an hour, and now I'm at this point where, I got to start all over again. And I got to start with a different group of people. I got to rebuild my brand, when I was doing it earlier, you wasn't doing a lot of videotaping and things of that nature, so mm-hmm. you have things to build on. So that became a part of my goal is how can I build my brand a little bit each year? How can I build my company a little bit each year? These are the steps I got to take. And my steps are always incorporated in it. Like this year, being focused is going to help me do those other things I need to do. But it was hard, man. Yeah, there's times I wanted to quit, man, because it was like, I can just go out here, man. And you know me, I've worked 2 jobs pretty much most of my life. Mm-hmm. I was like, I can go back to working 2 jobs, man. I'm putting all this and I'm not being my fruit. So it was real easy for me to say at one time that, man, this is just not working out. I got to change my goals. So, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I could say, I set goals for myself. The one goal that I actually thought was very hard, and I was talking to someone about this today too, because back in the day, I was one of the people that I like to sleep in, till 11:30, 12. But I remember one time in college to prepare myself for the workforce. I said, you know what, I'm just going to wake up at 6:30 every day just to prepare myself for the workforce. And I'm going to be honest, right now I kind of regret it because I wake up early all the time now. But at the time, it was a very hard, especially being in college, because, 6:30, people still sleep. It ain't really nothing to do. I had to pretty much give myself a routine so I could stick to it it's so easy just to fall back asleep.
But you can't, you don't regret it because those goals are what help you, like, for instance, succeed. For instance, I wake up with an alarm clock every day. Every day at 4 o'clock, I'm awake. I mean, regardless, I wake up, what time I go to sleep, I wake up at 4 o'clock. When we were down in Florida, I was waking up at 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I didn't get out to bed, but I was up. I would go out around 7 to do my devotion. When I travel with other couples, I do the same thing. And they get up at 7. And they're like, why you get up at 7 to do devotion? Because I'm a creature of habit. But I will tell you this, it sets precedent for how you live your life. Because it's not just about getting up early. It's about having a goal of discipline. It's about starting each day with a purpose. That's why I have a routine. I know I got to get up. If I don't get up at this time, there's certain things I got to sacrifice. If I don't wake up at 4:30, I can't lay there and kind of gather my thoughts for a half an hour. And I don't like jumping out of bed. And if I just jump out of bed and I'm doing Facebook or some crazy stuff on the news, that's what's in my head as I start my day. So I got to do my worship. That's built into what I do every day. And I got peace most of the time. I'm not running around acting all crazy like everybody's now. And it produces, when you have peace, you'll be surprised how easier things get, even in your most difficult times. Mm-hmm. And that comes how you stick to your goals. Most people without peace is like one more pebble in the wagon going to break down. I'm ready to quit. I'm ready to explode. You got to kind of, get to a place, man, where you have a routine that's based around discipline. Because you never know when you got to get up early because maybe it's a job involved. I would rather get up early and be chilling late than be out late. So it's just, and I'm used to it. So every 7 days a week, I'm up, man. I don't get out to bed 7 days a week, but Monday through Friday, I'm up. I get up, I do the same routine. Your mom knows, man, she's going to get breakfast. She knows she's going to hear my music blasting. She knows I'm going to do my devotion. She knows that's my routine. And I think that's helped me become somewhat successful. I'm not where I want to be, but it's getting better. I'm getting closer every year.
Yeah, yes, you are a very disciplined individual. And like I said, that's one of my resolutions or goals is become more disciplined. So how'd you do it? What were the steps to get there? How was the journey like, to build up this great discipline that you have?
Well, I mean,
like I'm generally asking like for myself just because I want to.
Well, I mean, somebody may be watching this who I grew up with, and they would beg to differ the whole discipline thing. But I mean, I think sports had a lot to do with it. Because I wanted to be good. I didn't want to be good in sports for the sake of being good. I wanted to make my dad proud. So that's what got me. And then once I got in, I got really competitive. And to be good in sports, you got to be disciplined. Because I started later than everybody else, I had to be disciplined. I had to shoot the extra jump shots. I had to commit myself to playing a certain way, because everybody else had been playing years before I was. Like I started playing baseball when I was 8. I didn't start playing basketball until I was almost 14. So I had to be disciplined because people were so far ahead of me because they started playing early. To be good in sports, you got to have discipline. There's certain things I couldn't do, that other people were doing. So I had to have discipline. But I had others in life where I wasn't so disciplined. I liked to party growing up, man. I was doing all that stuff, man. But I wasn't making progress in my life because what I learned was when you're not disciplined in even one area of your life, it holds you back. So I had to kind of, figure that part out. And as you get older, you should get wiser. I learned a lot of stuff from my dad, not what he said, but what I saw him do. What I saw him didn't do. I began to change the people I was hanging around. No disrespect if you're watching this, but you can't hang around people who are not going anywhere, and think you're going to go somewhere because they're going to bring you back to them every time. That's just the fact of life. And every time you go around them, you're going back. So I don't care what resolutions you make. I don't care what goals you set. You keep going backwards because you keep going back. So I had to change that. You got to change your mindset. I started seeing myself doing different things. I started seeing myself being in different places, man. I never in my mind fathomed that I was going to go back to North Philadelphia. Love my neighborhood, go back every year, give stuff out. But that was never my escape plan. I didn't have an escape plan. I was going to succeed or else. So you get disciplined. Then you find the more discipline. See, we think discipline is a bad thing. We think of it as punishment. And it's not. Discipline is just being able to be focused. Discipline is being able to just hold your ground, man, and stay on point, stay on task. And whenever you do that, there's always going to be a benefit. That's how you got to look at it.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned, getting those things, like seeing how grandpa was, or see how your dad was. I feel like that's where I am exactly right now. Like, you probably aren't aware of this, but I watch you quite often, and like I see how you move and different things like that. And like that's what I aspire to get to. So I feel like that's really interesting that you said that, because that's exactly how I feel. Like I'm starting to, my circle's getting a little smaller. I'm cutting some people off. No offense if you're watching this, but that's exactly where I am in life right now. And I feel like I actually really need to hear that, because it makes me feel like I'm heading in the right direction.
Well, and I want to rephrase that. I think, and this goes back to the whole resolution goal setting thing. I don't. You don't cut people off. People cut themselves off because people who are not trying to go where you're trying to go, they're either going to criticize you in your journey or they're going to try to hold you back. So that's where the discipline comes in. You got to say, these are my goals. How's this going to impact my goals? From like me, I'm not going to take a day off from pursuing my goals. I don't take days off from pursuing my goals. I don't. And with the conversation we have, like we were standing in line, I don't take days off. I'm not obsessed every day of the week, but I'm always thinking like, man, what can we do to make money? What can we do to build up something for McKinsey, the next generation? What can we do for you, together? I'm always thinking like that. So I don't want to be around somebody that's always talking about getting high, that's always talking about getting drunk, that's always talking about going partying, because they're not stretching me. They're not helping me get any better, and they're not going to help me pursue my goals. And again, that's why I go back to this whole make sure you have a vision, and resolutions are cool, but make sure you have a vision. Make sure you have a plan. Make sure it's purposeful, man, and make sure you're going to be persistent. You got to do that, man. I think too many people don't, and like when I started my nonprofit, there were people that didn't believe in me. Oh, you ain't gonna make no money in a nonprofit, and and I heard all that. Well, I've done quite well for myself.
And it's interesting you said that. Like, what do you do when you have those people that are doubting you, and who are looking down on your goals? Like, oh, why would you want to do that? Like, how would you handle that?
Well, then you can't be in my circle, and which is why I don't have a large circle. I don't handle it. They handle it, because I'm going to limit my interaction with them. I'm not going to, first of all, if there's people that I think are close to me and I can't share, without thinking they're going to be trying to shoot me down, tear me down, then I got to look at the people I'm hanging out. There's one thing for somebody to say, well, have you thought about it? Have you thought about A, B, C, D, E, F, G? Have you really, and some of our conversations, have you done this? Versus that's stupid. That's dumb. Why you want to do it? And because those are typically people who are not doing anything. Or they always want to be the brightest bulb in the pack. They want everything to be about them. And why do I want to be around that person? To me, my friend is going to be somebody that's going to support me. They're going to ask me the hard questions. They're going to support me. They're going to push me. Not somebody that's going to just constantly criticize me, tear me down. I knew that wasn't going to happen. So I think, they handle themselves. I don't handle them, because there's people who don't hang out with me now, who stop hanging out because who you think you are. You think you're better than us, and I heard all that, man, and I don't feed into it, because to me, and I've always said it to you, my parents drilled into me that it should be better for each generation. It was good for me, so it needs to be better for you, and we try to make it even better for McKinsey. If you ever decide to get married, have kids, that's part of the goal. And part of it is to help you have a vision, help you have a plan, help you sit down and figure out how to strategize things, and again, most resolutions, there's not a lot of depth in them. It's not, I want to lose weight. Okay, that's nice. Why? Is it going to make you healthier? Is it going to help you become more disciplined? Not because you want to track somebody. Come on, man. Or I saw somebody with a buff body. I got to get a buff body. Why? What's the purpose behind it? How's it beneficial? I get it if you want to be healthy. If you're doing it just to do it, that $80 or whatever you spend a month to go to the gym, you could be investing. You could be doing something different. I'm just saying, I'm not knocking going to the gym. That's cool, but why are you doing it? If you're doing it because you're trying to get a husband, or you're doing it because you're trying to get a woman, or you're trying to keep somebody, that's not good reasons. And again, I go back to it. I think if you consistently work on yourself, those other things will take care of themselves. People are not going to come around me. They know I don't take foolishness. They know. I'm not going to sit and talk about foolishness, man. I'm not going to talk about, let's go get high and thing like that. It just ain't happening. I ain't gonna waste my money, and some people call me cheap or whatever, but I'm just not, I work too hard and I plan too much and I invested too much to blow it on silly stuff. So those people know, and I'm okay with that. What did I told each and every last one of you is us against the world. I've been saying that to y'all since y'all been here, man.
Almost every day.
That's my philosophy. That's my philosophy, man. So I got my team. Mm-hmm. I don't need anybody else. I've been blessed to have a few others, but I don't need anybody outside of us. I'm cool with that. We went on vacation. We had a great time. I wasn't, man, I wish my friend. No, I was cool. We had a great time, man.
So when we talk about, these goals and reflecting on them and everything like that, do you think it's going to be a struggle? Not like a struggle, but you think you'll have some tribulations when you're trying to reach these goals this year?
Of course, man. There's nothing you're going to do that's going to be successful or that's going to get you close to successful. That's not going to come without roadblocks, man. But it's like you got to. I think most people struggle because you got to remember the victories, and I do. I don't focus on my roadblocks. I remember the victories. Yeah, I file away the roadblocks and things that I've done wrong, but I remember the victories, man, and I celebrate the victories. Like I spent the money for vacation, and we were talking. People talking. Right before we left, it was funny because right before we left, I got a check from a job I forgot about. That owed me some
I would
money.
love to get to that point,
That
by the way.
Check. When we got back, I got one in the mail.
Oh my goodness!
I'm just saying, I got one in the mail, and so I was earning money while we were on vacation for a service because they were trying to get me booked. So I'm saying it bound. If you do things the right way, and that's what I meant. That's why I don't chase money. I don't chase money. I don't get into anymore, man. I want my worth. I want my value, but I just don't do it. And this goes back to like I said, if you invest in yourself, man, I trust God. I just don't believe there is a God. I trust God wholly. Mm-hmm. He's going to meet all my needs. So because of that, I'm not out here chasing stuff. Worry about this, worry about that. I just don't do it anymore. But I do know there's going to be bumps in the road, man. There's going to be times, man, where I may have a tough client who, may have to pay me, or there may be a little dry spell in there because I feel like, things are not going the way it should go, but that's okay. Because every day is a new day, man. The message I gave today was about life, man, that the greatest gift we ever had was the gift, God gave us Jesus, the Trinity, however you want to say it, the gift of Jesus. The second greatest gift we have is life because we get up every day, man. And when we get up every day, we get to fight this battle, man, to win. We get up every day, man. We get a chance to make our way in life every day. That's all you can ask for. We got every tool and talent to succeed. But if you don't set goals for yourself, realistic goals, if you don't set goals or have a vision on what you want to become or what you want to do, you like that little hamster on the wheel, man, just running and going nowhere.
So when you say realistic goals, like, can you dive a little deeper into that? Like, explain that a little bit.
Realistic goals. I'm not going to sit here and say this year I'm going to earn $1 million, but I don't have a plan. I don't have a product. I don't know how I'm earning $1 million. How? I want to get out on the circuit and I want to get out and start public speaking. So I started my videos thing. That was my goal this year, to start the videos. We want to blow the show up some more. So that's one of my goals. Now that'll help me get close to making $1 million, but I can't say, like I coach. I'm sitting talking to somebody, life coach, and they're telling me I want to be rich. And the minute I say, well, how are you going to be rich? I don't know. Well, come on. That's not a realistic goal.
You got to have a plan.
Yeah, but that's my point by realistic goal. Yeah. You don't have a driver's license, but you want to buy you a Lamborghini. So, you got to have, you want to buy a Lamborghini. You don't have a job. You got to have realistic goals. And that's what I meant by having realistic goals. You can have a great goal, but then what's the steps, how I'm going to get there? If I'm going to, first thing I got to do is get my driver's license. Next thing I do is I got to get a job. Next thing I do is figure out how much money I got to earn so I can pay for this car and still live. And still have it, get auto insurance. So there's just steps that you take in the process.
That go into it.
That's what I meant by realistic. I hear people say, man, I'm going to get married, but you ain't dating anybody. Or you a terrible person. And that's what I meant by realistic goals, and set goals, little goals to get to the larger goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sports, everybody starts off even in sports, 0-0. Everybody wants to win the championship in football, but if you don't win more games than you lose during the season, you don't get a chance to play for it. So your goal got to be as winning many games as possible. Once you get past that stage, you got to win every game in the playoffs. There's no elimination round. You got to win every game. That has to be your goal. Then you can say, I want to, when I get in the championship, now I can focus on the championship. But you can't focus on the championship week one. It's the same thing in basketball. You got 82 games. You just because you 14-0 don't mean you're going to be in the championship. So, and it's the same way when you get married. You got to invest in your relationship. And I think that's what, when you start with some people with resolutions and things and you don't have a plan, there's no substance to it, that's why you quit.
So do you think people are always, when they're setting these goals, always just looking ahead instead of willing to sit down and take it day by day, step by step, goal by goal, if that makes sense?
Oh, man, it's funny because that was me. I was always thinking about tomorrow. Always thinking about tomorrow, man. You know what? The check came in the mail, man. I did my mobile deposit, man. This is cool. What's next? What's next? What's the next mountain I got to climb? When I'm gonna get the next check, man? And when Dana died, it really made me, stop and take a look, man, because we were the same exact age. We come from the same exact background. We pretty much close to being the same individuals, man. And when he passed away, I just think about all the stuff we said we were going to do, this year. We're going to do this in 2023. Even when we're on vacation in Florida, we talking about what we're going to do. Talking to Annette, the plans they made, man. And when he passed and the way he passed, it made me realize that, to your point, that you got to find a balance between both. Enjoy the moment. Sit there and look at that check for a little bit before you deposit it. Check the balance and look at it. Take a vacation and spend a little money and not just try to stack it. Pay yourself, treat yourself. I'm not saying go crazy, but it made me realize, even as I'm thinking what's next to go ahead, I need to take time to enjoy the day, because I don't know. Tomorrow, I don't know. So that's another reason why you want to have your goals set up, so, and within your goals, you do want to have something, that's going to outlive you. You want something like, what's your legacy going to be, when you're dead and gone. But yeah, you got to find a balance, man. Enjoy the moment, man. Like we on vacation, I had a ball. This is the first time in history I didn't take my laptop. Usually I got my laptop. I'm taking work. I didn't take my laptop, man. I didn't even do work on my phone. We just kind of hung out, man. Enjoyed each other's company, man. And allow Mackenzie to drive us crazy.
That had to be like the first family vacation since I was like, what, 13?
Yeah,
real long time, right?
Well, no, we went to Panama City.
13.
13. Yeah. Well, I mean. But see, that's another goal for me. One of my goals is, and it's not really, is just every year, I just want us to stay close. I was talking to somebody and they said, well, man, what's the best thing about the trip? I said, the best thing about a trip is that my grown kids wanted to go. But some people set goals and they don't include their family. They get so busy chasing money and material things, they don't take time to include, what's the goal for my family? How am I going to, what am I going to do to invest in my family? How do I want things to be in my family 5 years down the road? And that's what we're doing with Mackenzie. We're starting a new tradition, but we're giving him a strong sense of family. He knows, man, that when we're together, we're together. So I think those are things that we miss sometimes when we get caught up on material things. I think a lot of what we see in the streets now, which is a whole nother show, shooting and stabbing, somebody called me today and said, yo, Chris, I got to get you to come into the school because I got these young boys, they just don't care. And I said, I know, because I'm working with a group in Norristown. He was like, yeah, but that's because you have people hopeless, no dreams, no goals. And that's dangerous, man, when you don't care what's going to happen. That's a dangerous thing when you don't respect your life and anybody else's life.
That's the majority of the youth today.
Yeah, but most of them you talk to, they don't have goals. They don't have dreams. They got a fantasy life. I want to play in the NFL, but you don't even play for the high school team. You know, hey, I want to go to Duke, Kentucky. Dude, you don't even go to class.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm gonna be a rapper. You can barely spell your name. You know, so I mean, you know, they say stuff, but if you don't have a goal, if you don't have a dream, if you don't have something that you're pursuing that's not concrete, that's not obtainable,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you just kind of going through life, man. I think, and that's the sad way to live. You know, I love what I do. I love getting up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I also love putting those checks in the bank. You know, but that's because I'm doing what I love to do. So it produces those. See, they go hand in hand. You know, so my thing is, as long as I hone my skill, get better at what I do, the bigger the checks are going to be,
Mm-hmm.
the more they're going to come, and that's why I look at it.
Well, let me ask you this, because I don't ever really think, you know, we talked about this. Is there anything specific, you know, that when you look back and you're thankful for last year, you know, 2022, that you want to keep on going or bring into 2023?
Oh man, I'm thankful that God showed me to be grateful, and what I mean by that is, early in the year, I was just obsessed with some things. I gotta get this, gotta get this, gotta get. I can taste it. It's right there. You know, I gotta have this in place, got this in place. And one day during my devotion, God was like, He just dropped grateful in my spirit. And what He basically said was, you know, learn to be grateful for what you have, and don't focus on what you don't have. Because when you learn to appreciate what you do have, you become a better steward. You know, you learn to take care of that stuff. It's more valuable. You know, a lot of times we get so caught up that we don't have, we ignore what we have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably my biggest thing that I learned that. And I think that opens up a lot of doors. It gave me peace. You know, another thing that I'm always thankful for every year, man, is that, you know, is that my family. You know, that you and I can have these conversations. You know, that, you know, we got on a ride together, and we now, you know, many dads can't say that. You know, we just came back from a trip to Florida, man. You know, with my grown kids, my grown daughter, my two grown sons, my grandson. You know, my wife. We had a great time. You know, we rented a house and we weren't killing each other. We weren't killing. We just kind of hung out. So I'm grateful for that, man. I am. My parents are not here. I'm grateful for the lessons I learned from them. You know, because you just, what you're finding out now, it may be 10, 15, 20 years, but something always comes along and you get to apply them. You know, it didn't end well, my time at after school all stars, but I'm grateful for the experience. You know, because it reminded me, man, like, hey, you know, when you work for somebody else, it's a job, and the only thing that job owes you is a paycheck. They ain't gotta like you, they ain't gotta love you, they just gotta pay you. You know, and it's up to you to determine what you accept for your worth. And there's times when you have to be reminded of it. So I mean, you know, everything that I'm thankful for is not great, but it just reminded me, man. It made me enjoy life much more. So I'm grateful for that and thankful for that, man.
Definitely something to be thankful for. I'm always thankful, you know, to spend time with family. You know, I'm thankful to be able to sit here and do this show. You know, one thing that I always I want to continue is at the end of last year, you know, I did some self reflecting, or I received some feedback. I just wanted to stop being, like, you know, so negative at times. You know, just like you said, letting God handle the situation. So that's one thing that I found to be pretty fruitful for me as, you know, it goes on. But that's one thing that, you know, I want to continue to do is just, you know, let go of those negative thoughts sometimes and just be thankful. That's why I asked that question. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it's important that we take time to and this is like go and I know I give you a lot of Bible references, but if I look at David is one of my favorite characters in the Bible, and you know, David celebrated his victories. You know, when he was about to fight Goliath, man, he thought about when he had to kill a lion, when he had to kill a bear. You know, he celebrated his victories. You know, we need to learn to do that, not get caught up, but just celebrate our victories, man, and have them so we can remind ourselves that, you know, I can be successful. You know, even though bad things have happened to me, that's not who I am. You know, and again, I may not have everything I want to have, but I'm grateful for what I do have. You know, and that can change your attitude. That's the difference between moping around, moaning and groaning, and enjoying life. You know, my favorite phrase that I started saying about November, and people think I'm crazy. You know, hey, how you doing? I'm living my best life. I say that, and they, you know, I said today, and somebody started laughing. I'm like, nah, I am. You know, things can get better for me, but based on where I'm at and based on where I come from, see, that's my Bible app. That's my Bible.
I feel like that was right on cue right there.
Yeah. So you know, I mean, I am, and I truly am, man. I mean, and some people say, well, can you expound upon it? You know, my sons, I'm doing a show with my sons, man. Who else can say that, man? You know, I got a great relationship with all my kids. You know, who else can say that? You know, I got my own company that's doing, you know, it's doing okay. You know, who else can say that? You know, for those of you who don't know, I do have a job that I go to that's pretty cool. You know, that lines up with what I'm doing with the rest of my life, man. You know, who would have thought a skinny kid from North Philadelphia would be where I'm at now? You know, when there's some people who doubted that. So I mean, there's so many things, man. You know, that I'm living my best life, man. You know, I was able to. We all went down to Disney, hung out for a couple of days, man. And, you know, I got to spend time with my dude, Mackenzie. You know, I'm living my best life. He's coming back, how things just lined up with the favor, man. Chris was able to get his car, do what he had to do. We got back. I truly am, man. Living my best life, and I thank God for every minute of it.
And just real quick, because we were talking about it earlier, and it's been on my mind. I just want to send out prayers to that NFL player, DeMar.
Yeah,
that was such a tragic situation. So definitely just want to send prayers out to him, and I just hope that he recovers from this.
That's a perfect example of a question you asked earlier about how we got to find that balance. You know, how, we live for the moment, but we don't know what tomorrow holds for us. You know, and I'm not saying gloom or doom, but that's just the reality because we're human. We're fragile. You know, we don't know what tomorrow holds for us. You know, so, you need to live your life like, man, like not just about yourself, but, what am I going to remember for? What's my legacy going to be? You know, I'm praying and believing he's going to make it, but he has a toy drive that he does back in his hometown. And I'm amazed that people in this country have really come together, black and white. Got like $5 million, I think somebody said.
It's like Cincinnati fans and Bills fans combined.
And people from all over the country. So, I mean, but when he laced up his sneakers and put his stuff on the plate that night, he had no idea that's how he was going to leave the stadium. You know, the players who watch that game, who practice with them, who spend more time with their families, they had no idea that may be the last time they're going to see this dude. So we have to understand, man, how important life is and how valuable life is and how precious life is. You know, and we live our lives like we do. Understand that. You know, so we need to set goals and all that great stuff. And, and this goes back to how, our resolutions, we got to make sure, man, that we're planning well. We're planning well, man.
I'm going to be honest. I feel like that was just an awesome wrap up.
Yeah, we made it fun. Hour fast, too.
It really did go fast. Just last thoughts, about, I don't even like saying resolutions now at the end of this conversation. I'm with the, setting the goals and the steps to achieve those goals. I feel like you left a pretty impactful mark, when you said those things. So I just want to say to other people, don't be, don't try to get discouraged by your goals. Stick to them, I'm going to start even doing that at the quarter mark, looking back and seeing how I'm doing on them, and if there are some goals that might be too selfish and not selfless enough. So
but you had a good point. Don't be afraid to write them down and stick them on the refrigerator. Don't be afraid to write them down and stick them on wherever you go that you can see it consistently so you can say and stay on point. This is the first year I didn't write mine down. No, I didn't write them down last year. I got to take it back. I wrote a few down, but because I say this to myself every day. When I get up, I pray in the morning. This is part of it, man. This is, I recite it to myself every day. So I think it's important, though, that we start thinking about vision, we start thinking about purpose, and we start thinking about what can I do to be the best version of me, but how can that benefit others? Whether it's my kids, whether it's my grandkids, we got to start thinking that way, man. But it's been a great hour. Again, Chris couldn't be with us. He'll be back next week.
Shout out, Chris.
He'll definitely be back.
I know you were watching man. Somewhere.
He'll probably catch the rerun. As you can see, we got our show playing in the background. Well, it was playing in the background
for a while.
But we just want to say, we appreciate you. Happy New Year. What they need to do, Doug?
Oh yeah, like, follow, subscribe, share, comment, interact with us. We want to hear from you guys, so please.
So we will see you next week, same time, Above Average Black Men. You can catch us on Spotify. You can catch us on iHeartRadio, YouTube,
Instagram Live, Facebook.
Yeah, we got them and coming soon on Apple.
A2BM.
Yep. So you guys have a great evening, and we'll see you next week.
It's funny that's in the background right there.